Requests for accommodations across Canada have more than doubled since 2013. But why are there still so many students just trying to push through without the support that they need and are entitled to? A lot of this is because of all of the myths and stigma that are still surrounding accommodations in post-secondary. So today we are going to be going over and debunking 5 of the most common ones. Before we get into it, hi, my name is Zoe. I'm an ADHD coach for students in university and college. I also make content about ADHD with lots of strategies and tips and helpful things. So if you're interested in that, you can give me a follow here or on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook under the same username. So let's dive in with probably the one that I have heard the most, and it's one that I used to believe myself too. That is that accommodations are cheating or providing some sort of unfair advantage. And this could not be further from the truth. The reality of accommodations is that they are there to level out the playing field. They create a situation where students are tested on their knowledge and their ideas instead of just the limitations of their disability. Once again, accommodations are really there to just make the situation more equitable. There is no advantage given to students who are getting accommodations. For example, somebody wearing glasses wears them so that they can see it the same way that someone with 20/20 vision can. It's not giving them the answers to the test, it's just allowing them to see the questions the same way as everyone else. Next one is that accommodations are only for people who have a visible disability or people feeling like they aren't disabled enough or they're not bad enough to need accommodations, when in reality oftentimes a significant portion of students who are receiving accommodations at school are for invisible disabilities like ADHD, dyslexia, learning disabilities, etc. And there really is no such thing as being bad enough. You don't even have to wait for things to be getting bad and falling apart before you ask for help. It can honestly just take you from being a okay student to a great student, because maybe the lack of accommodations is what's holding you back. But with invisible disabilities, sometimes it can take longer for people to get identified because they might be masking, really good at hiding it, and it just doesn't get picked up till later on. But for a lot of people, once they get into university or college, things start to get revealed because these systems that they relied on before aren't there for them anymore. So it can be a time where a lot of people are actually realizing that they have something going on and they always needed the support. It's just the first time in their life that somebody has noticed or they've noticed. Another myth that I've heard flying around is that when schools offer accommodations, it lowers the academic standards or the rigor of the school. And the thing about accommodations is that they are only changing the method of testing or learning. They're not actually changing anything about the core of the content or the curriculum. So you're still getting all the same information, you're still being tested on all of the same core concepts. It would just be adjusted or added supports or whatever it may be to make it equitable. But the point of accommodations is not to reduce standards, and anyways, that's just a very ableist attitude. Our next one is people believing that the goal of accommodations is to eventually not need them anymore, almost as if they're a cast and you need to have it on for a few weeks and eventually it will come off and you'll be just like everyone else. But typically, when we're talking about a permanent disability, that is not something that you outgrow, and the goal is not to not need the accommodations anymore. That being said, your accommodations or your needs may change over time. Just because you need one thing now doesn't mean you'll always need it. You might need different things in the future. You might need more things in the future. And that is very natural to happen as well. It might be influenced by things like how much stress is going on in your life, or sometimes it's just a teacher's particular teaching style really isn't vibing with the way you need to learn and be tested. Sometimes it's due to a natural progression of a disability, or it might also be from understanding more about how you work or unmasking. I know a lot of people experience skill regression when they unmask. With all that being said, it is completely fine and acceptable. There is absolutely no shame in requiring accommodations, honestly, for the rest of your life. Some people also find themselves really needing accommodations in certain classes like math, where they might struggle more with the memory aspect, whereas something like English, they feel like they really don't need them anymore. So it can be very dependent on a lot of different things. This next one is I hate this one, and this is people saying that we shouldn't give accommodations in school because they don't prepare kids for the real world. But the thing is that accommodations actually exist in the real world too, and oftentimes there are actually laws and stuff that make it so people get accommodations in the workplace. And there are so many self-accommodations that you can do as well outside of work or school. From my perspective, school is actually the perfect time to really hone in on your accommodations and get experience learning how to advocate for yourself and being able to experiment with different types of accommodations and seeing what is most helpful for you and in what different situations. And by working through that now in school, you'll be able to move on to the workplace feeling more confident about using accommodations, which ones you need to ask for, and how to advocate for yourself. And all of those are really important skills that you will be able to carry with you for the rest of your life. So if you've been told that you can get accommodations at school and you've been putting it off, I hope that this video has helped debunk some of the myths that you might have been hearing and hopefully dissolve some of the shame, because acquiring accommodations and using them is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And I truly believe that education is best when everyone can access it. So you don't have to make things harder for yourself than they already are. Just go and get those accommodations if you can. One thing about accommodations I will say is that ironically, they require a lot of executive functioning skills to set up initially and maintain throughout your schooling. And so as an ADHD coach, that is something that I help my clients with, is like literally just using and getting their accommodations. So if that is something you would like support with, or just anything really surrounding your ADHD and school, I would love to chat with you. You can learn more on my website, which will be linked in the description. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to see my next video, and I'll see you then. Bye.